Hi, my name is Tenzin Namjong, and I thought to give a few words of advice regarding how to prepare for the upcoming Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga retreat, which will be held at Root Institute, the FPMT Center in Bodhgaya, India, the place where the Buddha manifested enlightenment. So the first thing in preparing for the retreat is to consider again and again how very fortunate you are to be able to engage in the Guru Yoga retreat. In general, the practice of Guru Yoga is one of the preliminaries or ngundro practices that is common across all the Tibetan Buddhist traditions. But here, in the context of the Gelugpa tradition, we use Lama Tsongkhapa, the founder of the Gelugpa lineage, as the basis for our Guru Yoga practice, seeing him as being inseparable from our own spiritual friend or guru. As Lama Tsongkhapa himself says in the Foundation of All Good Qualities, the foundation of all good qualities is the kind, perfect, pure guru. Correct devotion to him is the root of the path. By seeing this and applying great effort, please bless me to rely upon him with great respect. So here, since the practice of Guru Yoga is seen as the very root or the heart of the path, then many of the lineage lamas recommend that amongst all the preliminary practices, that the retreat on Guru Yoga be done first, because all the realizations along the path come only from the blessings of the Guru. It is also said that the Guru is the supreme field of merit. So engaging in practices in relation to the Guru makes it the quickest, most powerful way to purify negativities and accumulate merit, which will lead to success in getting all the realizations on the path, which is why the preliminary practices are undertaken. So now, in general, before you start any retreat, it's always beneficial to become very familiar with the practice that you're going to be undertaking. So here, in the context of Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga, or Ganden La Gyema in Tibetan, I would encourage you to read the various commentaries that are out there on the practice so that you have a good, solid understanding of the practice before you begin the retreat. So fortunately, there are a lot of good commentaries available in English. And so this one, the Ganden La Gyema commentary by Lama Zopa Rinpoche, is actually available on the Lama Yeshe Wisdom Archive website for free download. So I will include the link in the space below this video. I consider this commentary to be required reading for those wishing to participate in the Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga retreat at Root Institute. Now, the next very excellent commentary that's available in English is this one, The 100 Deities of Tushita, which is by the late Great Master Choden Rinpoche. It's based on a series of commentaries and lectures he gave here at Sarajay Monastery, which were later translated into English and then published in this book. It is now available as a download in Kindle format for about $10 US, and it is worth every penny. So now you can print out the Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga commentary by Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and then prior to the retreat, you should read it in quite some detail. And then the passages or even the words that you don't understand, you can mark, you can write your questions in a separate notebook, and then when you arrive at the retreat, we can then discuss your questions and hopefully clear away your doubts so that you can understand all the various points of the practice. Now, in the context of the Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga retreat, traditionally one would recite the Miksema mantra, a special requesting prayer to Lama Tsongkhapa 100,000 times. Now, this Miksema mantra has a 9-line version, a 5-line version, and a 4-line version. In general, all of them are perfectly acceptable. But in the context of our retreat, I think we will do the 5-line version. Although it is said that if you had to choose between quality and quantity, it's better to have quality. If you have good quality, it's better to have more quantity. So following in that vein, we are going to try to strike the balance by having both the quality and the quantity of 100,000 of these mantras. In the practice text, you'll see the Miksema mantra both in Tibetan phonetics as well as the English translation. However, I would highly encourage you to learn the Tibetan because that is the language of its original composition by Lama Tsongkhapa himself. Therefore, reciting in Tibetan carries the blessings of the lineage that dates back to Lama Tsongkhapa. Now, as we think of increasing both our quality and quantity of the Miksema mantras that we recite, for the quality, it is essential that we have a good pronunciation of the Tibetan. Some points of the pronunciation aren't clear when you just look at the Tibetan phonetics alone. Therefore, although my own pronunciation isn't great, I will recite the mantra, so if you follow along with the phonetics, you can understand how it is to be pronounced. We will be doing the 5-line version of the Miksema mantra, and each line has 9 syllables. So when you recite it, it's good to break up the syllables into units of 2 and then have the last syllable by itself. So let me demonstrate. Mikme sewe terchen chenre zik. Drime kempe wangpo jampel yang. Dupung malu jomze sangwe tak. Gangchen kepe tsugyen songka ba. Lozang drakpe shabla sulwa deb. Okay, so now for a few notes on the pronunciation. In the second line, Drime kepe wangpo jampel yang, although the English phonetics are spelled D-R-I, it's not drime, but rather you hit the consonant a little bit harder. Drime, drime. Then in the fourth line, tsuk gyen tsongkhapa, tsuk gyen. So there's the T and a S sound together. And then finally in the last line, lo zang, not lo sang, lo zang, drakpe, shabla, solwa, deb. So the shap also is a little bit of a Z sound, not SH. So let's try it again. Mikme sewe terchen chenre zi. Drime kepe wangpo jampel yang. Dupung malu jomze sangwe tak. Gangchen kepe tsugyen songka pa. Lozang drakpe shabla sulwa deb. So first, I would encourage you just to get comfortable with the Tibetan pronunciation. And one helpful way to do that is just take it line by line. So first, just start off with Mikme sewe terchen chenre zik. Mikme sewe terchen chenre zik. Mikme sewe terchen chenre zik. And then after you're able to recite that by memory, then you can add the second line and gradually get to all the 5 lines. So now after you've gotten a decent Tibetan pronunciation, the next thing that you work on is the speed. So in terms of chanting the Miksema mantra, many of you are already familiar with this mantra because it is recited often at the beginning and end of teachings. And when it is recited in a group, you'll often hear a nice tune that goes something like this. Mikme sewe te chen chen re zik. Drime kepe wangpo jampel yang. Ganchen kepe tsugyen songkhapa. Lozang Drakpe Shabla Suwade. So it's very beautiful, it's very nice to chant in that way, but in the context of our retreat, we are not going to be chanting in that way because it simply takes too much time. But rather, we are going to recite the Miksema mantra in a spoken or even whispered and hushed tone. But when we do so, we will need to avoid the 8 faults normally associated with recitation, as is explained in the traditional texts. The 8 faults associated with recitation are to either recite it too quickly or too slowly, to recite it by over-enunciating each syllable individually, to recite it either too loudly, which would be in this context, to recite it in such a way that your neighbor could hear you, or to recite it too softly, which in this case would be to recite it without making any noise whatsoever. Next, we need to avoid breaking or interrupting the continuity of the recitation with normal speech or talking. And then we also must avoid mental wandering during the recitation. And lastly, to avoid reciting the syllables that should be long in nature as short, and the syllables that should be short in nature as long. So now, before we get into the techniques to increase our recitation speed, I want you all to first calculate your baseline recitation. So try to recite 27 of the Miksema mantras. Right now, you can press pause on the video and time yourself using a stopwatch. So now that you have the time it takes for you to recite 27 of the Miksema mantras, multiply that number by 4, and you'll get the time it will take you to recite a complete 108 or 1 mala of Miksema. So now let's do a bit of math together. Traditionally, in the Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga retreat, one would aspire to recite 100,000 Miksema mantras. But 10% is added to overcome any faults we might have during our recitation. And then 10% is added to that and added to that. So usually, one would try to accumulate 111,111 Miksema mantras. So now, a normal mala is 108 beads. And so that would mean we would recite 1,029 108 bead malas of Miksema during our retreat. Okay, so now we have 28 days during the retreat, but the first and last days are also not counted, which leaves us 26 full days for the recitation of the Miksema mantra. So now, if we divide the 1,028 malas by 26 days, we have about 40 malas that we're trying to do per day on average. So now, compare and look at your average time for 1 mala of Miksema, and then see how many hours it would take you to do 40 malas. So some of you at the beginning, when it's not very quick, if you're averaging 15 minutes per Miksema mala, then that means 4 per hour. That means to do 40 malas, that would take you 10 hours. So that is quite grueling and difficult. So we would need to get our speed up. If, on the other hand, we can get our average speed to 6 minutes per mala or 10 malas per hour, that would be just 4 hours of recitation of Miksema a day for the course of the retreat, which gives us a lot of other time to do meditation on Lamrim and the other types of preliminary practices that we will also be doing. So, in short, we need to try to get our speed up as much as possible without sacrificing quality. To get the speed up, I would encourage you again to take it line by line and start with what is comfortable and then gradually increase your pace. Migme sewe techen chenrezik. 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 Okay? And then do it with the second line, the third line, fourth line, and fifth line until you're able to put it all together in a quite quicker pace. Migme sewe techen chenrezik. Jimmy keme wambo jameyan. Dubu manu zonga zameda. Kanche keme zonga zonga ba. Losun jabe shala zonga de. Migme sewe techen chenrezik. Jimmy keme wambo jameyan. Dubu manu zonga zameda. Kanche keme zonga zonga ba. Losun jabe shala zonga de. Another bit of advice that is very popular in the Tibetan tradition is to recite the mantra of Manjushri, who is the Buddha of wisdom, but is also known as the Lord of speech. So many Tibetans, right when they wake up in the morning, will recite the praise to Manjushri called Kang Longma, and again, we will include a link to this in the space below the video. And then, after reciting the Kang Longma praise, then they would recite the mantra of Manjushri, Om Arapasana Di. And they would recite that 108 times. And then at the final recitation, they will continue with just the seed syllable of Manjushri, the syllable Di, and recite that for as many times as they can on one breath. So to demonstrate, Om Arapasana Di 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 Di. So as many as you can in one breath. This is said to help loosen up the tongue as well as increase your wisdom. So you can also try this practice. If you're having a lot of difficulty getting your speed up, well, just do the best you can. And when we meet in Bodhgaya, I will work with you personally to try to help you get your speed to where it needs to be. I'm also going to make 2 other videos that have just the recitation of the Miksema mantra. One will be a bit slower pace, so it can help you practice your pronunciation. And the other one will be at a little bit quicker pace. And then as you try to work on your speed, if you use YouTube on a computer where you can adjust the playback settings, you can then try to use it 1.25 speed, and then gradually 1.5 speed, and then even 2 times speed. This will help you really accelerate your recitation time. So if you are not already doing the Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga practice on a daily basis, I would encourage you to start today. We will include the practice text in the space below this video. And then also start accumulating the Miksema mantra so that you get familiarity with both the pronunciation and trying to do it in a quicker and quicker manner. So let's leave it at that for now. Please look at the other videos that just have the Miksema mantra so you can practice that. And then at the end of every session, let's just do a short dedication, dedicating the merit that we've accumulated in our time together for the long lives of the spiritual friends, for the flourishing of the Holy Dharma, and for all sentient beings to attain in their hearts the precious altruistic intention of bodhicitta, and thereby quickly attain the state of complete enlightenment. Thank you very much. I look forward to meeting many of you next month in Bodhgaya.